our last session, we managed to check on the creation of chart of accounts, and we could tell why, because we want to have it about primary ledger creation. You seen something?
No, I actually forgot to mute.
So the greatest thing is that we managed to note that we only need to create calendar and chart of accounts, but for currency and accounting method, we enable and select sequential. So in our today's session, we looked at on a very high level to look up. We tried to look up on what we looked last time, and that's all about the describing or how we can track cost or revenue probably through a standard way of describing it. So we can describe it through from the highest level to the lowest level, whereby we see the highest level we have the company, and we have departments coming or cost center coming after the company. Then we have accounts. So in the level of the account, that's where we can track each and every individual transaction, maybe probably from the lowest level. And we can as well be able to narrow the reporting of maybe the tracking through the highest level of the company. So with that, we also managed to know, like by the time we'll be creating this type of item, we'll call them segments, and we agreed like the system have a provision for 30 segments, but minimum are 2. You can create maximum of 30 segments, and also as well you can create a minimum of 2. So with that, it took us to another level whereby we could be able to see like we have a number of flex field. And again, before that, under the segment, we have the segment values. Segment values for components. We have this one on the side. This doesn't show the picture, but so we have the segment values, which are supposed to be created for company, cost center, and accounts. So with that, we agree that these segments, for them to be created, they have to be given some kind of characteristics or behavior that will be associated with them. And that behavior, we said for the first time, the segment will be attached to the flexible segment qualifiers. And we have 6 of them, whereby we said we have balancing segment flexible qualifier, we have cost center segment flexible qualifier, we have natural account segment flexible qualifier, intercompany segment flexible qualifier, management segment flexible qualifier, and also we have secondary tracking segment qualifier. Here we left the names flexible. So with that, we were now able to know like we can go ahead and create the segments and assign them, because here we said like flexible qualifier are assigned to segment. So we can go ahead and create. Here we agree that balancing segment, we usually assign it to the company. Cost center, we usually assign it to cost centers. Cost centers or departments. Then natural account is just accounts. So this one basically it is for mapping accounts. The natural accounts, the 5 natural accounts that we have will be given those qualities by the natural account segment qualifier. Segment flex field qualifier. Is there any questions so far regarding our last session?
No.
Great. So for today, I want us to get into the system and get to see how we can come up with these 3 segments, and probably then go ahead and create the segment values. And again, we said like we usually access all these features through an application name called generator. Is the application name, and a feature, or rather call it special feature. Called counting key flex field. So through these 2 key features, that's when we can be able to define our chart of accounts. So I want us to log in the system. Already I had logged in. So let me share this screen. So with this, we are under the general ledger super user. This is the module that is used to define the basic of finance, or majorly the basics of finance in Oracle applications. So with this, if we happen to come to setup, what's the navigation? The navigation for creating segments through setup, financials. Please be writing the navigation as, like for instance, you can call it navigation. So navigation is setup. I think I explained this, why we do this. Okay. Flex field. I've set up financials, flex field. Let me share my entire screen so that I can be able to interchange, so that you can be able to see as well. So we have set up financials, then flex field. On the flex field, we will expand, we have key. So this key is what we usually refer to as key flex field. It's nothing else. Then under key, we have segments. So this navigation is very important. The responsibility here we have said is general ledger. Okay. Responsibility is general ledger, and the navigation. This one stay here. Responsibility is general ledger. Navigation setup, financial, flex field, key segment. But normally we refer to it as one, like key flex field, because beyond between the segments and financials in general, there's nothing else. So that's why in the implementation it will always be referred to as key flex field. Again, there is something we usually call DFF. DFF in full means descriptive flex field. This one we'll discuss more about it later when we'll be learning about the general ledger. Currently, we are learning about the basic of setup of financials, which are very, very, very much important. So there is key flex field and there is descriptive flex field. It's good to understand the difference. So when it comes to segments, we cannot be able to create segment direct if we don't have the structure name. This one we call it structure name. Structure. In this case, we have ABC group or subgroup because we are working with sub. Yeah, assuming we are implementing it for sub. So subgroup can be our structure name, and you can add anything else apart from that. But now, when it comes to writing this name, you don't leave any gap in between. So for instance, sub. So what happens to make it different and have a unique name and try to make sense, we shall use an underscore. So see now it's different before, or rather than what it will look before when we had given an underscore in between the sub and group. So mostly you'll find a lot of configurations have been done by this or in this way, and it's for the purpose of avoiding having characters that can cause error in future when it comes to system performance. So with that, we'll first of all define for us to define the segment, we have to first of all access the general ledger, and through the general ledger, we can be able to create the subgroup or the substructure name. So in our application, I had logged in already. I was even demonstrating about the segment. So if you press enter or you select through open, you get this window. See now the name of the window is key flex field segments. But now we cannot define the flex field name without the access of or without the permission of the responsibility, the application itself, sorry, which in our case it's the general. In our case, it's the general ledger. So what happens is, once this window has opened, it will open in this manner, but for us, once we have opened, it will auto-populate some kind of structure names here. So you will be seeing a lot of structure names here, and that's not that we have created or created some time back. No, because this the version of this application, whoever bought it is for the purpose of training and testing, but now you might find there is some kind of dummy data that had been shared there before, and now, and also the kind of practice people continue practicing, you'll find it is here. So what happens is that through these icon images here, we can be able to tell which functionality is capable or not. For instance, if I say add, it's inactive, I cannot add anything here. It's controlled. If I say find, it's active. So it means we can be able to find something under application. So how do we find one, or how do we find that application name and flex field title? So if you click on find, a pop-up window for finding key flex field shows up. So we have key flex field, and the type of, or the application we want to define our key flex field from is generator. Okay. If I type that and enter, I'll have 3 generator system. This came with the system. These are what we call seeded solutions. So under the generator, you can see we have generator and title. So here, cancel this one first. Here we have application. This is a generator, and we have flex field title. So these two, that's why I was saying they are very key. Without them, we cannot be able to create the code for our structure name. So what happens? Come here and click find, and we type general, enter. So there are only 3. So in our case, we want generator accounting flex field, first one. So the moment you select, you see the field for structures has been auto-populated by so many other items that are not in our plan. So what happens? Because we need to add another flex field or structure name, you come and select one of the lines under structures. You can see here the name is structures. So you add a line, and with this you can be able to now find exactly what you wanted. For instance, we are typing something, or we are creating something to do with sum. If I put 2% and press enter, it is taking us to the segment summary accounting flex field, of which we are not interested to. What we are interested with is creation of the segment structure name. So what happens? It will give us a new field. Through this new field, the name that you provide under the code is the same name it will pick as a title. So that's why you can see most of the naming here are almost the same, but you might find the ones that are on the code, they have the hyphen and underscore, sorry. So if I clear this and say surf flex field and tab, I remove that tab. So basically, once you provide the name, it's supposed to tab. Once you tab, it's supposed to give you it's supposed to take the other information to the next column. So if I press tab, you can see the information for code is being moved from code to title, meaning that you can be able now to continue because there is no any other name looks like yours. And basically, when you're implementing, you won't find anything like the way you're seeing so many information like now. You won't find this, and you'll find it blank. Actually, you'll find it blank without any kind of information, and that's where you will define it very correctly. You can come here and give a description and say this is once you have this with you can save it. Before you save it, you should not save it with a gap, the gap in the name. So this is underscore sub. Okay. So once save it, save and see. So our solution have been saved. You can see here done. And also this field has been, the code field has been grayed out. It's not the same as the flex field. So what am I trying to do now is to query on the flex field. That's the answer. That's not what I want. So if we come here, sorry, if I come here and type sub underscore tab, this is like a creation of another item, but what we need for now is to query. We need to query, or you can even put in the query mode. Okay. Once you put it in the query mode, you type sub underscore. So sub underscore what? Dennis.
Flex field. Flex field.
So we can control F11 and we can be able to see like our flex field has been, our structure name has been created successfully. So with that, the next thing is to click on segments. I have this button here of segments. I click segment. Now here I can be able to define as much segment as to number that, and as minimum as to work with. So what am I trying to say is that now we need to define the segments. So our segment number 1 will be company. Okay. You tab the name, it auto-fills the window prompt. And on column, so here under column, this is where you will be able to see all the 30 segment I was telling you. So control L. So from this number 1, they are not sequential, but you can be able to trace and tell that they are almost there. This is what is needed. So select that. But now cannot work with 30 in number in the first company. Actually, we are supposed to be systematic. So if you give a segment column number 30, it means it will be the last one, very far away. So what we are supposed to do here is to clear that and select segment 1. Okay. That is segment 1. Then you come here, number 2. We have, is it cost center or department? Cost centers. This will be segment 2. Okay. Then we have number 3, which is accounts or natural accounts. Again, is that segment. Okay. Being that segment, excuse me, we only need to create those three first for learning purposes before we can be able to go deeper to the other segment, to more than three segment, because of how the nature of the maybe implementation might look like. So remember, minimum, right? You can have just two segment, 1, 2. Okay. So at the end of the day, this segment creation is not done. We have to attach it to value set here. But how do we get the value set from? Let's first of all save our work. So our work is saved, and you can see now the segment has been grayed out, meaning you cannot adjust anything under the indication. So once we have saved our segment creation, we are supposed to go ahead and create value sets. Okay, these are value sets. Value sets, they assign some kind of behavior as well, or kind of arrangement in the segment when you are using the segments. So for instance, so I have an open notepad. For instance, if we have created a value, so value is having something, or like having kind of, when it comes to the system, we usually say if a field is empty, it has no value. But if it has something occupying that field, you'll find that field has some values in it. So what happens is when it comes to creation of description in terms of chart of accounts, you'll find we have code combination. So through the code combination, there are some rule or sets that we are talking about that give this the code combination some kind of beauty in terms of how you configure it. So for instance, for company segment, or say we have company segment, we have department, and we have probably accounts. So what happens is, you may say, like, for instance, this company, you want it to have maybe probably only 3 values, or maybe 2 values. Okay, you have it 2 values. Then for department, you want it to have 3 values. Say 1. Then for the account, you can say you want it to have like 4 values. There are even some who go for 6 values. Okay. Then other segments. Might find they are taking now 3 from there onwards. Here come to something like call it line 1 business. And even it has some kind of zero representation. Then you have future 1 and future 2. So what happens is all this as well, they can take the same length of the character. So this is for the purpose of understanding how do we plan this, how do we organize this to be capable. So under segments and under segment summary account flex field, we have a feature we call value sets. So if we click on that value set feature, there is a value set window that will open. So this one you can give it a name. So for instance, value set. Okay. If you wish, you can provide the bigger the description regarding the name of your value set. So we specify those kind of information here. And one thing is a list of value type. By default, we don't change much because you find the system has been developed like by the default it will pick, for instance, list of type, which is the one that we are using, which is list of value. Then there's no security, we don't need security, but in case there is security for the value set, you can provide whether it's hierarchical security or non-hierarchical. So hierarchical is whereby there is one person has to, first of all, give way so that the other person can be able to access. So with that, then we have the size. Here, this is where we define whether we want all the segment, all the value sets. When it comes to code combination, we call them segment values. So your segment values will be determined their size by this field. If, for instance, we want 3 for this one, you can call it company value set, self company value set. So for instance, if here we want our company to have only 2, this means these are 2. These are 2. So these are 3. These are 3. Means we have 6 characters. So when defining our value set for company, we will give it 2, meaning it can only have 2 to the maximum of 2 characters. And here the format is character. So it's a minimum of our maximum of two characters. That's what will be created when we try to create the value set. Then there is something else here we usually select, which is write, justify, and 0 fill numbers. What does that mean? So to write justify, you'll find if, for instance, I had written, I'm supposed to define an account with maybe probably 222. What happens is that this 3, you can find like when you're writing it, the whole of it like that, the whole account will be able to fill correctly. But assume probably you have been told, someone may be read somewhere for you and told you like the account has 33 or probably 222. So you'll get confused and get to wonder, how will I fill the 3 characters remaining? Remember, here we have 6 characters, but someone probably has given you only the 3. So what happens is that this justification, light justify and 0 fill numbers. What happens is that if you give it like this, if you give someone like this, the system, if it has been, this checkbox has been checked, all right, justifying and filling the numbers, it will fill the first 3 with 0, then it will right justify that the rest numbers are okay. So that's why we usually define the value sets for each and every subject. Because now with that, for instance, another example is if I want to maybe probably create a value, segment value with 121. Okay, this, the system will come and fill that. Okay, if the segment maybe probably is, maybe the segment is for the purpose of maybe creating maybe another kind of maybe project, and it has more than 5 characters, you might come and find you can be able to justify, right? Justify, for instance, if we get we need 5 characters, or maybe let's just work with this one, 6 characters. So you find 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the account that the user has provided. Maybe with one user on the other, they didn't see the 0. So yeah, the 0 that is in front. So what will happen for this account to be full? The system will autofill with 0 in front and justify the rest which are on the right side. Is there any question so far?
None.
So basically, those are the information. We don't change the validation type because it's independent. So what we usually provide only is the maximum size, and we select the right justify and 0 fill numbers with 0, 0. That is, for instance, the way they have given an example here. So we create each and every one for this one. For each segment, it has to be created its own value set. So once we are comfortable with this, we can save. This setup name, you can know it for this, because it might bring some more kind of complication. You can provide some characters like save. Once we save, now we can be able to see like the validation type has been grayed out, also the character field has been grayed out, meaning that value set has been successfully created. So you create the second one by clicking on new, select new here, and you create the second one. This one will be cost center. Okay, do the cost center. Cost center maximum value we have said we can leave with 3. Just maximum size. We will justify. And so in case you have, for instance, in case you want to to come, like to restrict some numbers not to be used. For instance, you might find you don't want to start this account creation or value set creation, or rather segment values creation from maybe 0. You should not have an account or a segment value that is starting with 0. Maybe probably 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can tell the system the minimum value should be probably 1. Okay, maybe 1 or 1,000. So you'll find, see now what I've provided here is bigger than the character I've provided here up, the maximum size. That's why the system is giving this kind of error. So if I remove 10, it should accept. So it has gone to the maximum. So you can restrict and say like maybe in the character or in the whichever segment you want to define, there are probably some characters that should not be defined. So with that one, you can be able to curb it from this level of minimum value and maximum value. So for instance, we're not interested with that today. So we just go ahead and save our value set. Value set is saved. Then let's create the third one, which for this case is the accounts. So for accounts, I can provide maybe 5 part. Can like justify as well, but we don't need to have a minimum value and maximum value. Then we save. So once we have saved, if you can see from behind, close that window of values. We have defined, or we are about, or we have already created these segments. So there's a field here where we usually share the or assign the value set that we have just created here to the company or to the segments, sorry. So we come here and list of value. There are so many, there should be so many. If I provide this percentage and press enter, there are so many values that has been defined by people who are probably learning and training. Okay, but at least ours, we have made it unique by name self. So you can see there is our value set that has been created, and because we want to assign them per the value set, per the segment that we have defined, the first value set should be for company. So you can select that, you press enter, and it is autofilled. Again, you can maybe type here surf space, press tab. You can see our value set here, although they have some brothers now because of their prefix names, which is, or probably their prefix name which has got some sharing with the name like save, safety, And now you have to be very keen which you have assigned the first. So the second one should be for cost centers. Okay. And the third one should be for something we call accounts. So with that, there is this attribute of enable display. There is insertable and updatable. So this is just for the purpose of allowing the manipulation, whether the manipulation of this segment should be allowed. So for learning purposes, we can leave them like that. But for places whereby there is so much restrictions, this one will be removed, and it can only be checked and even request for probably an enough reason for it and checking. So once that one is done, you can save, and we have saved our information. Then once that one is done, come to something we call company. And a company, now what we want to do, if we are doing it following the order we read here, we are in the chart of accounts inside. So we have broken it down to a process whereby we will be looking all the way from defining the structure name all the way to creation of the account name. So in our case here, the goal is to create chart of account, but it has some inner spaces or inner segments or stages that we have to look at for the purpose of understanding. So once we have done with assigning the value set to the segments, you come and select the first segment and you click on flex field qualifiers. This is what I've been talking about. And we agreed, like, for the company segment, we assign the balancing segment, which is here. So you're supposed to come and say enable. Once you enable, you can save. So once you have saved like that, you can close this window again and come to cost center. Remember, you should select the segment first before you come and press or select flex field qualifier. If you can see, the moment I select from the cost centers, the balancing segment has not been enabled. Let's see from the company. If I select company segment and click on flex field qualifiers, you can see the flex field qualifier has been assigned to company segment. So it's very much important to differentiate the two, whereby the company and the cost center pick or get assigned to the flex field qualifier independent. So in our second one, we have selected cost centers, select flex field qualifier, and under cost centers, we have cost center segments here. So you come and you see, even the description we usually say this attribute is used to identify the cost center segment. So we enable and save. Okay. Once that's done, you can close this window. Then you go to accounts. Then you select flex field qualifiers. This is for natural account. So natural account is the second here in line. Then you select. Once you have selected, you save. Once you have saved, unless there is any other segment that that require the kind of identity like the others, that's when you provide, or you can be able to select the same kind of flex field qualifier to assign it to that segment. So once that's done, we save. System tells us there is nothing to save. Then we click on close that window. So after closing that window, we can come here and now freeze our flex field definition. Once you select freeze, the system will give you a caution. Make sure you do not want to make changes more to make any more changes to the flex field segment and definition before freezing the flex field. Unfreezing and changing the definition later could affect the validity of existing data for your flex field. So with that, you say you're okay. Once you have said you're okay, if you could see before the compile field was inactive, at the moment I've clicked or checked this field, the compile feature become active. So what we need to do is to compile our segments and structure name and compile. Compilation flex field, okay. Flex field was compiled successfully. Submitted request to generate flex field view, GL code combination, okay, FV. So that one tells us that our flex field has successfully been created. So we can now close this window and maybe pop up on how we create the values, because after now creating the segments, we need now to come and create these segment values. These are the one. These ones. All these are segment values. So what happens is that the navigation is setup financial flex field key values. Setup financials flex field key values. So if you press enter on your keyboard, you can be able to create the or to query the information that we probably have defined on the other end. One of the information we have defined on the other end is the structure name. So here, the application name is General Ledger. Title is Accounting Flex Field. Structure name, this is the one that we have defined. It's for SAF Flex Field. So you can see our structure name is also populating on this end comfortably. So what happens is that if you don't want to keep on coming here and selecting each segment one by one, we usually advise like you can leave this space empty and click find. Once you click find, you'll come and find like we have the company segment. This is the company segment that we have just defined under structure name sub-flex field. So here we are supposed to maybe probably come up with the values, the one that we've been talking about. So we can create one, like for example 01. What I was trying to say, if for instance value for company we gave it a maximum of I think we gave it a maximum of 2 characters. So let's try to put 3 and see whether it will pick. So you see now the system will tell you like value 0001 is longer than its maximum length of 2 characters. So that's where the value set comes in handy. So if you whatever you want to define here should not be against what you have controlled on the other end of value sets. So here it's supposed to 01 and it picks 1. Once I provide this value code and press enter, the same value code will be the translated value here. Then we can provide the description. I hope it's clear. Any question?
No, no question.
All right. If no question, Dennis, I request we go up to that level. And we catch up tomorrow. I hope tomorrow I'll be much better to prolong the class or the session to 1 hour and a half, as because that's our standard time which we are supposed to be covering for us to be able to hit this training with the timelines.
Okay, no problem. Just to make a request, I was having internet issues, so at some point I couldn't get you. So I'll request when the recording has finished saving, could send me a link to get it, so I can review it before tomorrow.
No problem. I'll share with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.